Hi, teammates. Let's go over a few things. I'm going to print this off tomorrow, but I'll go over the information I have here. So, November 3rd, 2019, phrase reset, cancel, fee, co, po, fate, before. Okay. So, you can rearrange that to be non spaces, in between, but, and then you get the I, he, the 985, and the 113, and the ab a, okay, the abba, okay. So when you see that, the abba there, abba means father, just as Jesus on the cross cried out to his dad, the 717, and it's mixed in with all this betrayer symbolism. So I wanted to show this because I wanted to show you how real all this is, that it's like betrayer type symbolism is mixed in, with all these standing in the holy place type ordeals, and even the sawzall blade is mentioned there and all that stuff. So keep a mercy mindset. Just wanted to show this. And even the 113 could be like getting away from the sea beast, a time of a non-reset, a non-U-turn, getting away from all that. So, and heading into either the 1,000-year reign or the end of the 1,000-year reign, whatever. But all that is prominent. So this came to me today as I was trying to relax, and this was shown to me. So I wanted to relay it to you. And the septenary cipher, I think, is important because it's the S even. Okay, it's divisible by 7, and I think that's important because the 7 means like the Han, the even of the Han, the even of the hand, like whatever is being G'd, being renewed in spirit, another way to say. So, and then I wanted to show all this today. George Frederick Handel. From these ciphers, I went down a rabbit hole, as I usually do, and got to George Frederick Handel. And what he shows is the German to English switch, okay? And by German, just as the new eunuch Zion, new eunuch Zion, that's a type of place for the Dan Barrent as being the head of that group there, that heaven, and that's the highest heaven that we've gone over. And it's not really based on where it is in the layout, if it's high or low. It's not really based on that as far as like being better or whatever. It's just that one is the one that's right above the Jesus heaven. That's all I know. I'm just relaying the way that I show it. And with that, it's more like the honor of the German, like I remember when I was a kid, I heard a story about a German football player at a high school in America, or he was just like, he had German blood, he was an American. But he committed suicide after he had a bad play, had a bad game, and basically it was because of his honor. He felt he betrayed his parents and everything, and it was a real sad story. And I'm not condoning that or anything in the least bit. I just think that's the real German that I'm talking about with their honor. It's kind of like Japanese a little bit. And that's why they were probably allies, but it's more like the honor base, not the Aryan. I think the Aryan is a pseudo-scientific way of getting across what I'm talking about here. It's like it's being as perfect within the honor, and of course Hitler, he twisted all that. He twisted it all to mean against the Jews, against the blacks, he twisted all that. And I don't think that that's right. I think that's all. It's not about what you look like and what your religion is. It's more like the honor based of it is what it is supposed to be, and it's achieving that perfection. It's like taking the mark of the beast, in that when we get that in the new heaven and new earth, when that's available at the tree of life in the phone booth type setting, it'll be that you go back in time with your life and make perfect everything that was messed up. Anytime you lost or had something stolen from you or anything, it would be made perfect so that your life will be perfect without any mistakes. And some people would argue, well, there's beauty in those mistakes. And that's true too, but it's more like getting over the curses. It's like getting over the curses and getting over the falls is what that is. So that I wanted to explain that with the new Eunuch Zion reference, because if someone saw my other video, they'd be like, well, this guy, he supports Arian and all that, but I don't. It's more the way that you're looking at this stuff. So, but this was that switch, okay? And remember, Michael Phelps had a bad year at this London 2012 Olympic ceremony, and he even was reported as having thought about suicide after these 2012 Olympics. And so that's all tied in here. And that's this London 2012 Olympics is when the Sheba arrival was of this George Frederick Handel. And that was his, like, he was a composer, and that was his type of song that he came up with, or opera or whatever, for that was used at the 2012 Olympics. But he's from like 1747 era, as a composer with like the wig hair and all that. So just interesting. And then the Sheba arrival would be like the arrival of the wisdom, and this was 2012, so it would make sense that 2012 was a big switch. It was the arrival of the wisdom. I started smoking weed in 2012. That was all, it's all tied in. It was like a big awakening type arrival of the basically the sea beast and all that, the Revelation 13. It's all rod based basically. And I don't want to get into the ox goad and the staff and all that, because I know all those are different amongst themselves, but it's more like wisdom based is what I'm saying. So, and from that, Alexander Bolus, okay, if you look him up, Alexander Bolus, and I'll go over some of this, but we're going to look at Timarchus today and how important he was in all this. And let me go to this here. Alexander Bolus, okay. So I'll show you where I'm getting all this from. Right here, George Frederick Handel, Alexander Bolus. He was the title character, this Alexander was. And this is during the Seleucid reign. And this guy was one of the last Greek type, the new Greeks type, post-Alexander. He was one of the last rulers, this Alexander Bolus was, of the Persia type empire. Okay, so it's all Greek mixing with Persian ideals. Okay, so that's what we're going to focus on today. Here's George Frederick Handel. And here's this tobacco hornworm that's part of the creature that we're going over today for Timarchus. Okay, so we're going to go over Timarchus. Now, he was a usurper in the Seleucid Empire, and Seleucid basically means post Alexander the Great, Macedonia, and all of the empire that Alexander had conquered, but It's as the basically falling apart of the Greek Empire in Persia and Asian lands. Okay, that's what that is. So this Timarchus, get this, he was a Greek nobleman, possibly from Miletus. Okay, Miletus, Miletus. Okay, so when I see that, I broke that down. That's as the ox goad of the Aussies. Okay, that's what that Miletus means. And it's coming through at the end for the Aussies. So basically, if you break this down, it means the betrayal of the Aussies by teaming up with China and Russia at the end of the age, for the nuclear war. And Australia has the best air force in the world. Okay, so it means this means that he's from the transitional land. He's from the ones that want the rapture. Okay, that's what that means. So it's different from the other Greeks. It's different from Alexander the Great and all them who wanted to blend everything. Alexander, if you watch the film Alexander with Colin Farrell, he's wanting to blend everything. And it's all mixed in with homosexuality as well. It's all mixed in with that. And this guy would be for the Brahma bull type, which is laying down for the woman, Kali, and, getting rid of the ego type. So it would be more, this wouldn't be the long haul that we've gone through since 2012. This would be December 21st, 2012, there's a nuclear war. That's what this guy was, that's what he was empowered to promote. Okay, so Timarchus was a friend of the Seleucid prince Antiochus Epiphanes during his time as a hostage to the Roman Republic. Okay, so there's that Rome tie-in. And remember, Daniel wouldn't eat the food of Nebuchadnezzar. That means he wouldn't G him. He wouldn't sit in his throne as being an emaciated type figure with the woman in charge of the household. It's more like he wasn't a handyman type. Nebuchadnezzar wasn't. He was a thinker type. Okay, and that's what the Romans promoted, kind of, and then their mafia plays on that as well, and is a response to that. Okay, so you have the Roman Republic there. So that's, and I'm not saying either one is right. I'm just saying that's what happened with Nebuchadnezzar, and that's why it's all works. It's all symbolic works of the four versus real handiworks of the five. That's what that is. 5 being more French and 4 being more English and Roman based. That's why the Romans and English have been tied together, or were tied together, and through the church and all that. So of course he was friends with this guy, the Roman influence he was friends with, as he was a hostage. Okay, so it's as putting the Roman influence through the pit. Okay, now was he actually in the pit? No, he was just a hostage. Probably symbolically, as David was with the Philistines for a while before he was king. Then he was appointed satrap of Media. Okay, so there's that women putting on the dress. Okay, there's, or men putting on the dress, excuse me. There's that influence. Okay, the Medea, the Tyler Perry type, all that with, it's all, that's, to me, that's some of the most evil that you can get, okay, is the Medea. So in Western Iran, okay, so Western Iran, remember the Kayyanian tribe is Southern Iran, so this is Western. when Antiochus Epiphanes became king and his brother Heraclitus became minister of the royal finances, his brother helped him throughout, or tried to help him. The Persian part of the empire was threatened by the Parthia, okay, which was northeastern Iran, okay. So it's all parts that aren't Caanian is what's going against them, or what's going against this Timarchus. And he made good defenses, and this Tehran area, which is one of the largest cities in the Middle East today. So there's some connection there with the layout of the grid and everything, just as it is worldwide. The grid here is probably loaded with satanic symbolism, okay? The layout of this city, it probably has a lot of spiritual significance, this Tehran, okay? And that's why it's a large city, So let's go down here. So then Timarchus was promoted to be the actual ruler of Media, okay, because of the death of Antiochus IV. Okay, he was promoted to be the ruler as independent of Media. So he was exalted as a stone, in the cornerstone of that place. Okay, and opposed the general Lysias, who acted as steward for the infant king Antiochus V. Okay, so in 162, Demetrius won the proper heir to the Seleucid throne. There's that Macedonian post-Alexander the Great influence. He killed Lysias as well as young Antiochus V. Okay, so he got rid of the ones that would take the part of the Seleucid, that he got rid of that Roman influence. Okay, so this may have well been the provocation that caused Timarchus to take the final step to independence and declare himself king. Okay, so Timarchus, he's like, if you're going to get rid of my friends, then I'm gonna step in and be king. He stood up and said, I'm going to be king then, with my influence, so that the Seleucid doesn't take over, which is bringing in the homosexuality and all that, bringing in the red, what we know of as the red today. This is big here. So Timarchus now managed to extend his realm into Babylonia, where records of his reign were inscribed into the astronomical calendars. Okay, do we know how big that is? Okay, in Babylonia. This is huge. And they're just briefly mentioning this on Wikipedia. Okay, so his forces were, however, not enough for the legal Seleucid king. Demetrius defeated and killed Timarchus in 160 BC, and the Seleucid Empire was temporarily united again. Okay. So I'm looking at this astronomical calendars as being a huge deal, that he was able to get his touch of that Miletus, get his heritage into it, of yes, we're going to need the nukes. We're going to need a big push for the end times. We're going to need an invasion of America. We're going to need an invasion worldwide. World War III is what we're going to need to get all this done for Jesus. And he pushed all that into Babylonia, into their scribes and their text. Okay, so that was huge. And that probably paved the way for what's set up today with the red to betray America and everything. That's probably this type of influence. And I'm not saying he's the only one. I'm not saying that Timarchus is the end all be all. I'm saying that what he did was a good influence within the red, because he, as being a non-flipper, as I am, I tend to look for these things that are what what is similar to me, because I don't want to be red and I don't want to be a flipper. So what's in between here? And in between is kind of like the Batman figure, the Blade figure, who we've gone over. But with Canaan and all that. But this Timarchus is very important, and I wanted to go over his creature. Okay, so Timarchus, creature. Manduca sexta tobacco hornworm, lower body. Onthophagus taurus, upright torso. Arms of Mr. Fantastic. And those are as strong arms too. They're not like weak, like sliding around arms. It's more like that they can stretch and they're strong. But hands of Shuta, secret places as Hellboy key. Remember the biggie Shuta symbolism. But monkey type hands, okay? So they're like monkey, like agile type hands, but both hands are as keys. The key is like ingrained in the center of the hand, and but it's a normal like monkey type hand, and then head of leopard shark jaws and teeth of a Dixie Day mixed with a crocodile. Okay, so I'll let you take a look at all that. So it's a Sagittarius, this creature here. Okay, so that's what that is, and go back up to this. So he's kind of like the Boone figure that we went over. He has similarities with him, is what I see here. Just as the head is kind of the same. And what I see is they were members of the Dixie Mafia, the beginning of it, back in like the 20s. So I don't know exactly who they were. I don't know their names, but they did that and they traveled a lot, is what I saw. But they were members of the Dixie Mafia, and that's where that crocodile and alligator and Dixie Day come in. And so this is what I see. Take it all to the Lord, and thank you. Have a good night.